It's the Euro 2024 preview. I'm David Easson, and alongside me, I've got Paul Robinson and Neil Mellor. Hello, gentlemen. You're all spread far and wide as we head towards this major tournament this summer. Paul, good morning. Hello. Are you looking forward to this? In fact, where would you be? I know you've been to one of these tournaments before. Never mind where you are now, but here we are, not far out from a major tournament.
Sorry, I'm now top secret.
Top
I'm
secret.
back on Thursday.
In the lair, wherever you are. So here we are, not far out from a major tournament. What was it like in these times when you're in camp, ready to go, raring to go? Do you just want to get on the pitch?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you're basically ready to go. All the hype it's all over with you. You've travelled. You're in the country where the tournament's taking place. You've had your friendlies, the pre-tournament games. The squad's been announced, and now you are literally you just wanting to get the first game and get the tournament underway. First game's always difficult. I mean, I remember in the World Cup 2006 in Germany, kind of struggled through the first game. We only got a 1-0 win, but there's a lot of tension, a lot of nervous excitement. I think a lot of it is excitement, but there's a huge amount of nerves when that national anthem plays in the first game. There's a lot of emotion built up between the players as well, because you get yourself that built up. And that, you're not nervous, but the nervous energy is bursting out of you. You're ready to go. And at this point in the week leading up to the tournament, the first game on Friday night, it's big for everybody, not just Germany and Scotland, but it's big for the rest of the rest of the teams, because they know now that they're not far away from starting their campaign.
And would you watch the other games? Would you sit around and watch them?
Yeah, there's nothing else to do. I mean, you're stuck in the hotel. Obviously, you're away. And of course, you want to watch the opening ceremony. You want to see what you're going to be part of, and you want to see what opposition you could potentially come up against later on in the tournament. It's very, very difficult to watch every single game of the tournament. Obviously, when you're away on camp, you train and you've got different schedules. You've got meal times, you've got meeting times. You'll have defensive setup meetings. You'll have midfield meetings, forward meetings. You'll have a whole big schedule, so it's hard to watch every single game. But you'll certainly watch the opening game and as many as you can when you're not playing.
And Neil, are you looking forward to this tournament this summer? There's plenty. Actually, there's a lot more I feel as if there's a lot of younger talent coming through, new names I think that we've all got to learn. And maybe this will be a summer of an emergence of maybe 1-2 huge stars on the world stage.
Yeah, and nice to get back to a bit of normality. Obviously, the Euros last time was disrupted by COVID. The World Cup was at a different time of year. So it feels like we're back to sort of normal in terms of the Euros. A lot of excitement. Again, you're thinking there's a couple of favourites, but it's not a real clear, obvious one. Obviously, France will be the standout at the moment. But England have a chance. We always have a chance. And you just think, could this be our year? I mean, Paul's mentioning being involved in the tournaments. For me, as a player who wasn't, I was looking at my mates involved and thinking, I want them to do well, but knowing that if they do well, their pre-season is going to be really disrupted. So when they come back to the football clubs for next season, it can disrupt and make it harder to get off to a good start in the Premier League season.
So maybe maybe not English, you'd be like, get knocked out. Come on, we need to start working soon. Get back to the club football. We can't be thinking like that. Okay, we're going to start and going through some of these. Find your best bets on some of these and ideas on some of these markets. And we're going to start with top goal scorer. So we've got top of the market, as you might imagine, Kylian Mbappe, 5.5. Didn't score in the last Euros. Had a bit of a nightmare in the last Euros, Neil. But 78 caps, 47 goals, 33 assists. And a lot of people saying that out of this tournament and maybe the Copa America, if you look at Vinicius Jr., the Ballon d'Or is going to be decided in this tournament. And if he does have a good tournament with France, as I think he might do, he's pretty nailed on for that.
Yeah, the top goal scorer in the last Euros was 5, Ronaldo, Cristiano. But the World Cup, Mbappe won it with 8 goals. So in terms of Golden Boot, that's why he's up there. He's one of the best strikers in world football. He's playing for a country in France who are fancied to go deep in the competition. 5 or 6 may well win it in terms of goals scored. So you're thinking that they've got winnable games before they really get to the final. So for me, I'm looking at Mbappe and thinking he's the clear and obvious one. How fit is he? He's only played 15 minutes, I think, in terms of the warm-up game last game. So, it'll be interesting to see. Harry Kane's another obvious one up there. I'd be on a Portugal player, whether it's Ronaldo, whether it's Leao, whether it's Ramos, whether it's Jota. They are the outsiders for me. I'd be looking at one of those to think Portugal are a team who score goals. Think about the last competition. They put 6 past Switzerland. They can do that in a game. So for me, knowing that 5 or 6 might be enough, I'd be near Harry Kane or Mbappe. But outsider-wise, I'd definitely be looking at a Portugal goal scorer.
I think Portugal are going to come up quite a lot in this conversation. But Paul, looking at Harry Kane from an England point of view, 6.5 to be top goal scorer, 44 goals in 44 games for Bayern Munich this season. He needs to end with winning something. It'd be quite nice if it was this for him.
Oh, well, he did. He won the Golden Boot, didn't he? Or the equivalent of the Golden Boot in Germany. And just his luck, he goes to Bayern Munich, wins no domestic trophies or a Champions League, and ends up winning a trophy that looks like the Arsenal cannon in the Golden Boot. I mean, you couldn't write it, could you, for him? But from an England point of view, he's got a great chance of being the top scorer. I think the thing is there, you look at the groups and you look at who's in what group. You look at England's group, Denmark, Serbia and Slovenia. You'd fancy England to score goals. And if England are going to score goals, Harry Kane's going to score goals. There's a lot of goals scored in the group stages. We know that 2, 3 most groups qualify out of that. You look at Belgium's group, the Ukraine, Slovakia and Romania. You know, Lukaku's in there as a leading goal scorer. Fulkrug for Germany. Havertz in there as well. Germany have got Hungary, Switzerland and Scotland. You'd like to think from Germany's point of view, they're going to be looking to score goals. I think there's a potential for a lot of goals to be scored in the group stages. So your obvious 2, Mbappe and Kane, they're going to top the market without a doubt. Mbappe simply because he's the quality that he is. He's proven he's done it before, and his team are going to go deep into the tournament. But actually, look at the groups, look down the list. There's a lot of value in the list of players. You know, you look at the likes of Ronaldo, there's Rasmus Højlund, Mitrovic, Serbia, Morata, Spain. Look at the players, look at their records in the tournaments. But first of all, look where their team is in the group, who they're going to play against, because there's some of these players that could have 4 or 5 by the end of the group stages.
Yeah, certainly right. And talking about Portugal, Neil, and you mentioned Leao, we've got to mention Ronaldo, of course, and there's several players in this competition are plying their trade in Saudi Arabia now, and it's a lot of people will be asking questions of those players coming in saying, can they perform on the big stage again? One major thing for Ronaldo is he's been scoring goals, he's still fit, and he doesn't need to move too far in that Portugal side because everyone else will be running around for him.
I wonder what sort of role he will play with Portugal. I think he'll have that sort of leadership in terms of he'll be on the bench, on the sidelines, encouraging the players. How much game time will be interesting. I think Portugal are fortunate because they have so many good attacking players. They can afford to rotate a Ronaldo. It's not all about Ronaldo has to perform for Portugal because there's so many good players. I've got it down as 50 goals I think he got all season. That is quite unbelievable. But when you look at some of the other Portuguese players and how they've contributed this season for goals, here you go. You've got Bruno Fernandes, 20 goals this season. Jota's got 17. Leao's got 16. Ramos has got 15. You've got Bernardo Silva who's got 12. Look at all those players who, with style of play, Paul mentioned it about, look at teams who are going to attack. Portugal are going to attack. They've also got some really good defensive and midfield players. So for me, I'd be looking at 1 or 2 of those Portuguese players. I just don't know how much game time Ronaldo will have. You know, can you see him start in all 3 group games? Probably not. But you can certainly see a few of the others playing more game time than him.
Which does bring in Bruno Fernandes, Paul, which... again, 20 goals this season, but actually for the international side, he's really started scoring in qualifying. He's got 6 in the qualifiers, scored 2 against Finland last week. He's almost taken on that mantle. He's captain, possibly without the armband, depending where Ronaldo is on the pitch. And it's a big thing to take over kind of the personality to run a team which has Ronaldo in it. And He's shown this season that he will now step forward. We've questioned him in the past. There's been games where he's definitely more than gone missing, but for Portugal, he stands up.
Yeah, and he's another player as well that you look at the goal scorer markets. He's going to get goals, and there's one big thing here as well: set pieces. Set pieces are very, very important. He takes free kicks, and he's likely to take penalties. With Ronaldo not playing every single game, and you take penalties into equation as well. So you look for a team that's going to go deep into a tournament. And you look for a penalty taker. You know, the goals all add up. But Fernandes is, like you say, he's done it this season at Manchester United. Listen, he's not everybody's cup of tea. He whinges, he moans, and there's times where he's in the referee's ear and you're watching him, you're thinking, look, just get on with the game. You're far too good a player to be moaning and doing what you're doing. But as you rightly say, he seems to have stepped up at international level. There was always that question of where did him and Ronaldo play in the same team? Can they play in the same team? There's two egos wanting to take every throw in, penalty, free kick, corner, goal kick, both of them wanting to do everything. But he looks like now he's taken on that mantle as Ronaldo is eventually going to move on into that bit part role, because of his age.
But can we look away from the top three, possibly Mbappe, Kane, Ronaldo? Are there any outsiders there, or would you kind of just say, well, if France are going a long way, it's going to be Mbappe? Because actually, they don't have too many other goal scorers, Neil.
Yeah, I think Mbappe is the standout, but I do feel as though, and Paul mentioned it, there could be a player who gets 4 or 5 goals in the group, and that could really stand them out in terms of putting pressure on Mbappe for that top goal scorer. I don't think France maybe do score a lot of goals compared to some of the other sides. I know they've got the attacking play. I think they'll have a slow start to this tournament, France. And also, you're looking at the games they've got. That's a bit of a tricky group for me. Whereas Portugal's group for me is probably one of the easiest. And that's why I fancy them to get more goals. But you're looking at other teams, Spain, do they score enough? No. Their group is really tough. So I'm thinking I won't be anywhere near a Spanish top goal scorer. Italy as well. Who is theirs? Scamacca. I mean, who's the main man? So I wouldn't be anywhere near the Italians. Germany maybe. Havertz. I know they've got a few exciting players in terms of Wits as well. So yeah, Mbappe. And like I say, a Portugal player. Probably not Ronaldo. I'd touch Bruno Fernandes. And I just wonder about Leao as well. He finished the season brilliantly at AC Milan. Goals, assists. I think he could be a player who has been talked about coming to the Premier League for a number of seasons. This could be the tournament where people go, I see it now. And maybe he does get that big move after an unbelievable Euro. So Leao would be one I'd be touching ahead of what obviously the favourites.
Okay, Paul. Money on the table. Who are you going to back for top goal scorer?
Listen, you're backing Kane or Lukaku, not Lukaku or Mbappe. That's where the sensible money goes, because you'd like to think that both of those players are going to go deep into the tournament. I think there's value in Lukaku. I think there's real outside value in something like Trossard or Jeremy Doku, the Belgian team. I'm looking at that Belgium group: Belgium, Ukraine, Slovakia, and Romania. I'm thinking there's goals there for that Belgian team. I think they've underachieved for a long time. I don't see how deep they're going to go into this tournament. I think they're probably a quarter-final team, semi-final at best. But actually in the group, I think there's goals there. And I think they've got quality in there to do it. Others in there, Rasmus Højlund, Denmark. I mean, they're in England's group. So you'd like to think he's not going to score that many. Lewandowski, Poland, the Polish side. Is he going to get the service? That's the problem. He'll score the goals, but he's not going to get the service. Fulkrug, Germany. Havertz, Germany. Outsiders, Lukaku, Belgium. Bit of value.
And there is value in this group, and there always is actually in top goal scorers. I go back to a long time ago when Milan Baros won me a lot of money one summer when he appeared for. Again, find the team that has not an easy group, but some games where you might score a few goals and find a goal scorer to do that. They are your top goal scorer hints and tips for Euro 2024. We're talking Euro 2024. We're talking top assists market in this now with Paul Robinson and Neil Mellor. Top of the market, Neil, is, as you would expect, Kevin De Bruyne. 49 assists in 100 caps for Belgium. 9 major tournament assists in 21 games. He's still playing all right at his age. He might be looking for a bit of a move this summer. Who knows? But he's 13 in the market to be top of the assist makers. Does it all boil down to how far Belgium get for Kevin De Bruyne to be top assist maker? And it's nice to have an assist market, actually, too, because there's some players out there which we can really dig into who've had really good seasons.
Yeah, it's brilliant. He is absolutely brilliant. I mean, he didn't play a lot of games this season, missed a lot of football. But the games he did play, he just makes the game look completely different to other players. He creates opportunities for attacking players. And again, Belgium have got a few of those who could stick the ball in the net. So yeah, De Bruyne has to come in the mix, certainly because of the form he's found at the back end of the season. I think Bellingham has to be mentioned. You know, I think he's had over double figures for Real Madrid this season, as well as the goals. Champions League final, he gets himself an assist. He gets himself into good areas, Bellingham. So I think he has to be mentioned. And here's one for you. He's only 21, German player. Let me see if I say his name correct. Florian Wirtz, Bayer Leverkusen. What a season that boy has had. Goals, chances created, assists, plays like as a number 10. He has been likened to De Bruyne. And, okay, there might be a little bit of pressure on Germany because the hosts, no one fancies them. And I just think there's a little bit of youth there with a player like that. And he could be one that really does do well in the assist market because he has had an unbelievable season at Leverkusen, winning the league and cup double.
12 assists for Leverkusen this season. He's 21 in the market, Florian Wirtz. It'd be Wirtz and Musiala either side of Kai Havertz, Paul. And you think if you're playing that kind of withdrawn 9 role that Havertz is going to be playing, Wirtz, who's had such a good season for Leverkusen, he's going to be involved in this market, isn't he?
Got to be involved in the market, but so is one of the fellas that plays alongside him, in Toni Kroos. I mean, you look at what he's done at Real Madrid, but there's another one for me. It's set plays, it's free kicks. He's on everything. Everything in the attacking third is going to be delivered into the box. So you're looking for quality, obviously, on the ball, in play, but actually you're looking for a free kick taker as well. Somebody who can deliver like De Bruyne, like Bruno Fernandes, those type of players. A Rodri for me in the Spanish team, or a Pedri. If Pedri plays, you're looking for those type of players. A Pedri, a Phil Foden, somebody who's going to have that quality, that somebody's going to unlock the door. Jude Bellingham, I think, is another one, like Neil said. I think you're looking for those type of players. But one of the biggest things for me in this market is be wise. Choose a free kick taker. Choose somebody who's going to deliver a ball into the box, because we see so many set plays, goals coming from set plays, that they're not just the assists come from open play. It's set play market as well.
Toni Kroos is 34. There's a lot of players around the 34 market. 25 for Harry Kane. I'm going to put one up for Spain, Neil. Alex Grimaldo. Again, Leverkusen and Germany, or the German side, anyway, but left back for Spain. The way Spain are going to be playing this time around, they're a lot quicker, a lot faster on the break. They're still going to be dominating possession, but 14 assists from left back. I mean, that's kind of Robertson, Trent kind of numbers. 14 assists in 33 matches for Leverkusen.
Yeah, I just wondered, with styles of play, how similar will that Spanish style of play be compared to Leverkusen? Leverkusen were unbelievable, devastating on the counter-attack. Are Spain that sort of side? They love passing the ball. They want 100 passes before they really get into the penalty area. So for me, I don't fancy Spain to be a big scoring side. I don't fancy them to trouble going deep in this competition. So as good as the season he's had, I sometimes feel as though with players, the style of play for the national team doesn't maybe have the same effect as what it does for the national team. And he could be one of those players for me.
Okay. Anyone else standing out for you, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, there's loads. Obviously, you look at the goal scorer markets as well. But I like Doku for Belgium. I mean, I've gone on about Lukaku in the top goal scorer market. Doku will play. He'll play on that left-hand side. We've seen what a threat he's been in the Premier League. But again, I think, listen, these are the really important thing in this is look at what group that the players that you're picking are in, because the goals are going to come early in this tournament. And, you look at the top goal scorer market. What's to say the top goal scorer, is not going to be the top assist as well. You look at Mbappe's record. You look at Harry Kane's record. He drops deep. He drops into that number 10 role at times. And the way that England are going to play, if Bellingham is playing in there, Bellingham's going to be running in behind Kane. Foden potentially running in behind Kane. Saka running in behind. There's an argument that somebody like Kane or Mbappe will provide value in the assist market as well. Gakpo for the Netherlands. Those type of players. There's a lot of value. It's a tough one to call the assists. But De Bruyne, obviously, De Bruyne is going to be one of the biggest favourites. But I do like Toni Kroos at that big price that you just gave me.
Yeah, Toni Kroos, his final games in football. I mean, what a strange way to go into a tournament, knowing that your next game might well be your last one. But Toni Kroos has had a wonderful season, and at 34, that's a decent shout. Are you going to pick one, Neil? Who would it be?
Yeah, so Bruno Fernandes, Portugal. I would be definitely favouring him, and also the superstar that might be Florian Wirtz this campaign. So they're the two for me.
That's your assist market. Have a look at the market, which is on sportsbet.io. This is sportsbet.io's Euro 2024 preview, and we're going to go down a different route with this market now, because we've got markets for pretty much where every team end their tournament. So we're going to talk biggest disappointment of Euro 2024. We're going to go through probably the big six in the market: England, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Portugal. And I know you guys have mapped out the way this whole tournament is going to go, which you can do on sportsbet.io as well. Paul, I'm going to say England first. What would be this? They're 13 to go out at the group stage, and I think that's a short price even for England. To be devastating to get out the group stage. To go out the round of 16 is 5.5. Where do you see England ending up in this tournament?
Listen, I've done my map, like you say. Me and Neil have both mapped every team's path to the final. And unfortunately for England, my path doesn't have them in the final, simply because they meet France in the semis. I've got France to win this whole tournament. So I've tipped France to win the tournament. And the way that England's path and France's path would pan out, as you would expect, they meet each other in the semi-final. And if I'm going to stick by my winners of the tournament, that means England going out in the semi, which, it's obviously they went out last tournament against France, who are an extremely good side who have been there and done it all before. I think going out in the last 16, that they won't do it. I mean, you look at the group, there's 3 qualify from England's group. They're going to qualify from the group. They're going to qualify from the group as winners. They qualify for tournaments with ease, and you look at the games that they've got, they will come out of that group as winners. And if the likelihood of what we think is going to happen, it looks like they play Austria in the last 16. So you would think that they wouldn't cause England too many problems. And then they move on to a quarter-final with potentially against Italy if things pan out, which I think they'll get through. I don't think the Italians score enough goals. I think England will get to the semi-final. I think they'll meet a French team who are too strong. But listen, England can beat anybody on the day. You ask me, can England win the tournament? Yes, they can win the tournament. Do I think they will win it? No, I've tipped France to win it. But can England beat anybody on the day in a one-off game? Absolutely they can, yeah. I mean, they're going to have to be at their very, very best to beat France if that's the way that it pans out. But I think, that they'll go deep in the tournament. There's no doubt about that.
Neil, are you similarly encouraged by England and France to get that far? In which case, who are we looking at to be the big gun that maybe won't get to where we think they might do?
Yeah, I mean, I think semi-finals would still be disappointing for England. Let's be honest. I think Southgate, to carry on, he probably needs to win this tournament. Quarterfinals World Cup against France, probably should have won that game. Final of the Euros last time, 1 shot on target after scoring a goal in like 2 minutes, wasn't good enough. So England are under big pressure to deliver success, and that would be final for me. Semi-final would not be success at all. I agree with Paul in terms of that route. I've got Italy or Croatia for the quarterfinals. I think Italy will be the biggest appointment, and the reason being, they're the holders. They are the holders. They didn't even qualify for the World Cup. They've got a new manager. They've got a new style of play. They've lost a lot of key players that won the Euros in 2020. 2021 it was in the end. So for me, I just think there's been too much change too soon. And whilst Italy aren't fancied as favourites, they are still the holders of this competition. So I think they'll be the biggest disappointment. They're in a tough group. Looking at the groups in there, they've got Spain and Croatia. You think if second or third, they're probably playing for. So Italy for me will be the biggest disappointment. I would be nowhere near backing them for this tournament. And last time, I fancied them to win it, and they did win it.
It's difficult for Italy, isn't it? Because they've got a new manager in Spalletti. It could be interesting to bring a new man in, but he's had 8 games since Mancini went off to Saudi Arabia. He's defensively, they've had some massive blows with players, long-term players like Chiellini not playing anymore, but also defensive injuries too. ACLs on the last day of the season for one of their players, and so defensively they might be stuck at the back. And we've mentioned before that goal scoring wise they just don't seem to have it. But we've said about Italy before, haven't we? They haven't got any strikers, and they go and win a tournament.
Yeah, they always seem to be in a state of rebuild as well, don't they? I mean, after they won the Euros, they're not, like Neil said, they didn't qualify for the World Cup. Mancini, when he first picked that team up, I remember doing one of the games. I can't remember whether it was a Nations League game or a qualifier, but he picked a 32-man squad, Mancini, in one of his first games, just so he could have a look at the players that he's got. And he's had to rebuild that squad. Then they went on and beat England in the final of the Euros. They won the Euros, didn't qualify for the World Cup. And in that time, that squad's been rebuilt 2 or 3 times with players coming in. And like you say there, they are suffering big injuries. They've got a couple of big players missing defensively. They always do seem to struggle for goals, and with reliance on Scamacca as their main goal scorer, you would question that. And listen, they're in the group of death. Group B is the group of death: Spain, Italy, Croatia, and Albania. Listen, Albania, you don't give them much chance of getting anything out of that group. Never mind, they probably won't pick up a point. But actually, Croatia, Italy, and Spain, they've got it all to do to decide which order that the 3 of them go through in. And that will map out how their last 16 in the quarter-final looks. I think that's where the disappointment of the tournament comes from, that group, because I think it's such a tough group. I think Croatia, with the players that they've got, the Modric's, the Brozovic's, the midfield that they've got, it's an aging team. For so long that the Croatian team potentially could go on and win something. They've upset England a couple of times. England have beaten them. They've always seemed to do well in tournaments. They've got experience. They know how to get through tournaments. But I think your disappointment comes from either Spain, Italy, or Croatia. And I think it might be Spain. I don't know why. I've just got a sneaky feeling that they might just underachieve.
I think we have to remember this as well in terms of 4 third-place teams will go through. So 2 of the third-place teams won't. In the past, 3 points hasn't been enough. So I'm looking at Italy's group and going, your win against, what is it, Albania, that might not be enough because of there might be one team that gets through on 3 points, and that's why when you're in such a tough group, I think they're going to go out the groups, Italy. So that's why I've got them down as the biggest disappointment.
Italy to go out in the groups are 6. Spain to go out in the group stages 8. Round of 16, 3.25. So the bookies tend to agree. And actually, we don't see Portugal. I think we're all thinking Portugal are more than dark horses for this because they've got enough talent in there. But to go out in the round of 16,
they've got a decent route through there. Portugal. You look at Portugal's group. I mean, no disrespect to anybody when we're talking about teams, but Turkey, Czech Republic, and Georgia, you would expect them to top that group with ease and score goals. If the last 16 prediction goes as we think, they're potentially going to play Serbia in the last 16 and then a quarter-final potentially against the Netherlands. All of those teams you wouldn't expect to cause them much of a problem. Semi-final, it looks like they could play the host Germany. So Portugal's route actually is not that unkind when you look at it like that.
So tough times for Italy. Our forecasters, our biggest disappointment as the Euro 2024 juggernaut approaches for sportsbet.io. This is sportsbet.io, and we're looking ahead to Euro 2024 with a couple of random bets because there's quite a lot of market out there on the sportsbook here with sportsbet.io, and I'm going to suggest these are a few England-based ones for our English former players, particularly you, Paul. We've been dominated by penalties in recent decades. Sometimes it happens. England to go out on a penalty shootout, 5.5 for yes. 1.14 for no. They obviously lost the final on the penalty shootout last time round, but there's a lot of technical players in that England side, and you think these days it's not a lottery penalties anymore, is it? And they've got enough players, you would suggest, to actually win a penalty shootout. We have under Gareth Southgate won a penalty shootout.
Yeah, but so the other teams that they're going to come up against in the quarters and semis potentially. When you get to a knockout phase, you need a little bit of luck. Nobody wants penalties. But penalties is not a bad bet. That's one to watch on your in-game betting, because how many times do we talk about extra time and what a nothing extra time turns out to be? The players put everything into that 90 minutes, so extra time turns out to be a little bit of a letdown, really poor. I mean, the first 5-6 minutes of extra time, teams will have a go. They'll try and get a goal. But the deeper you go into extra time, the more and more nobody wants to make a mistake. Nobody wants to be that one that puts the ball at risk. Nobody wants to be that one that costs their team, going out of the tournament. So that last pass that they might take, that ball forward that they might take to try and create an opportunity, they'll choose not to. They'll choose to retain possession. And listen, we get to deep stages in a tournament, you see fatigue. You see players, you see teams that are tired. So it's certainly one to watch in-game betting. If you're getting towards the end of 90 minutes, then it's definitely worth looking at picking a winner on penalties. There's every chance that England will go through or go out on penalties. That's not a bad bet. But like I say, I'm not so sure on that market before the tournament starts, but I do like that market in-game betting because as I said, extra time, it's becoming a nothing. It really is.
And something we need to talk about, Neil, is how the refereeing is going to go in this tournament, because we've had World Cups where penalties have been given out almost one a game in the World Cup. Do you think we might see similar in the Euros? Yeah,
VAR. Everyone says how much better it is in major tournaments. I don't believe it is. I still think interpretation is very different for how the officials see it to how the players see it, how fans see it. So I think we're going to see loads of VAR calls, and everyone's going, "This is awful." What have we got? Have we got the automated offsides in this one? I still think we'll have delays at certain points for certain goals, which will be a frustration. But I mean, penalties, because of the word contact, the interpretation can be taken so many different ways. And so penalties for me, I think we'll see loads of penalties given in this tournament.
Yeah, certainly one to watch as the games go on, game by game, Paul, isn't it? You see your trends as these tournaments go on.
Listen, I think the yellow card market is going to be a great over in the booking points is going to be a really good one, because as the players are on show and as the players are being judged, this is the pinnacle for referees as well. So the referees are going to be watched by their hierarchy. They're going to be under scrutiny. They're going to referee properly. Not that they don't week in and week out, but they will referee to the letter of the law to the nth degree. So I think we're going to see a lot of cards in this tournament as well. And I think that's a decent way in, maybe over 4 each game to start with. You look at the likes of France, you look at the likes of England, Spain, Portugal, the pace, the power that they've got in the team. Just look at the team sheet. See who's marking Mbappe. See who's marking Saka. Look, pick a quick player. So who's marking Jeremy Doku? That's what I quite often do in the Premier League. Enjoy watching the Premier League. You pick a player, somebody like, we know Jack Grealish is not in the England squad, but the amount of times that he gets fouled in the Premier League, look at a player that draws fouls, that gets fouled. Look who's marking during the game. Pick a yellow card. Either pick overs in the yellow cards or specific players that are marking, a particularly quick player. That's always a good way into these markets. But the referees, like I said, they're under scrutiny as well. So there will be yellow cards, there will be penalties, there will be decisions made.
Dave, just a quick one to finish on penalties. A penalty to be given in every group. So at least one penalty to be given in every group.
What? I think that might be quite short. Every game or every group? One.
Just every. Yeah, well, at least one in every group. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
Well, just looking at the first games, Germany, Scotland, a penalty awarded to Germany is 3.65. One to Scotland is 13. So you can actually decide which side get the penalty. Either side to score a penalty is 3.55. So there's your starting market, Paul. If you're thinking maybe a game like Germany, Scotland is a little bit, they might think it's one-sided, but you might well get a penalty. You can imagine that happening in the first game. To score a penalty, 3.55. If you keep multiplying that up.
Look at the players. Look at the players that are playing in the games. When you're looking at the likes of England's group, England playing against Serbia and Slovenia, look at a couple of the centre-halves that are playing against Harry Kane. Saka. There's definitely a penalties market in there because, like I say, the referees will be under pressure to make decisions and VAR will be getting involved. I'd put a bet on the better penalty in the final now. I reckon you get decent odds for that. A penalty given in the final to either side, whoever that may be. But there's certainly a way in with penalties, yeah, for sure.
Let's go back to England for a while because just looking at, we've mentioned the assist market, but there's actually markets for individual players you can pick out. And one I've looked at here, or we've picked out here, is Jude Bellingham. Over 1.5 assists in the tournament at 2.75. I mean, he's had maybe not the number in La Liga this season that you might suggest would be, 6 or 7, I think, in La Liga. But actually, I think he has a similar number in the Champions League, Neil. And he seems like the kind of player, when the game is big, Bellingham is there.
Yeah, I think that's really good odds, generous for Bellingham, who is going to be a player arriving towards the penalty area. 12 in all competitions in his first season at Real Madrid. Biggest game of all, Champions League final. He did it, of course, for the second goal. Missed a couple of chances himself. So, yeah, for me, Bellingham would have to be, that's really good value, that for more than 1.5 in the whole tournament, not just the group. Yeah, good odds. You're looking at Foden. Will Southgate get the best out of him? Not sure. Trent Alexander-Arnold, wearing number 8. So that suggests he's going to get a little bit more game time than the 8 minutes in the World Cup against Wales. That was like, don't take a player like that and not play him. But it looks like he may get more game time this time. An assist or something that he does. So, Bellingham, Foden, Trent and Kane as well. That was a good shout from Paul. Kane is not just a goal scorer. He will drop deep and maybe he would be in the market as well to get a few assists.
Red cards, Paul. We're talking about penalties, but red cards over 6 is 1.83, and this is total in the tournament. So you've got to be thinking that's, you might even go higher than 6 if the market stretches that far. Again, can't see red cards being at a minimum in this tournament.
No, they'll definitely be given. I think in the group stages as well. The latter, the deeper, the tournament goes, referees will probably be a little bit adverse to giving them in big games, big decisions. They've got to get them right. I think it will be VAR that actually rules on whether it's a red card or not. But early on in the group stages, referees won't be adverse to giving them. 6 is a lot. I do think 6 is a lot for a tournament. But like you say, that there's value in it. You can certainly see that the referees setting a precedence. Especially the interesting one for me is the talking back to the referees. It's the captain only that can speak to the referee. Let's see how long that lasts. That's where the yellows come in, because in the first few games, players are not used to a rule like that. So new rulings that come in or that come into the Premier League next season, if referees start brandishing cards out in the first couple of games, it'll take players a while to get used to the way that the games have been refereed. So yellow cards and red cards are a definitely good market to look at, certainly early on in the tournament.
Okay, so plenty of other markets to be having a look at. If you go all the way down into the sportsbet.io sportsbook for this one, your yellow cards are there. Over 193 is your market, 2.38. Under 183 is 290, and the sweet spot at 3.1 is 183 to 193. We're expecting a lot of yellow cards in this tournament. Something like 4 a game, if they're over 3.5 a game, something like that. You might think that's how that's going to go. Where do you see
Over
that,
four
Paul?
a game. I like over 4 a game.
Yeah.
Not necessarily every single game, but if you put that into one of your accumulators, pick a goal scorer. I like over the corners as well, because teams you'll be trying to win games. You're in a knockout competition, over 8 corners, over 4 yellow cards in the game with a goal scorer. There's some real good value in building a bet like that.
I also think watch how the first couple of games are refed, and it'd be interesting to see if anything noticeable is sort of maybe the refs are on it a little bit more this year. So that could be worth just keeping an eye on the first couple of games. If it's refereed like the Europa League final, we can have well over yellow cards. Yellow cards would be dished out for fun there. So again, sort of be interesting to see how that starts before I touch that bet.
And there's one in your in-game betting as well. Watch the in-game betting, because if a lesser team's beaten a so-called bigger team, goalkeepers get guaranteed to get booked. With the time and everything else. With the in-game, watch the goalkeepers market to get booked. For time wasted later on in the game if they're trying to kill the game off.
Okay, plenty to have a look at then. If you get onto your account and have a look at sportsbet.io, there's more than just the outrights there. You can really dig into some deep, maybe slightly random bets, but those assist markets, talking about Bellingham, over 1.5 at 2.75. I think Tony Cruz for 2 assists is something like 2.1. So again, maybe a bit of early value in the tournament as this goes on. This is sportsbet.io's Euro 2024 preview, and we're talking tournament winner now with Paul Robinson and Neil Mellor as we go into, well, we've mentioned, you will mention the big 6 that are out there: England, France, Germany, Portugal. Spain are slightly longer than Portugal. Italy are 17. The Netherlands are 15, so slightly shorter favourites in terms of those two. Belgium at 21, and then you're out to 41s for Croatia, Denmark, and 51 for Turkey. Neil Mellor, England favourites for this? Are they justifiably favourites?
I wouldn't be backing them, no. I think they've got a chance. Favourites? Not sure. I think there'll be better opposition to back. I think England in the past, in tournaments when they've gone well, have had some kind games in knockout stages. I don't think it'll be as kind this time. I think the route to the final is a lot harder for England. So I'm thinking, how will they cope with those games? And I'm not sure. I'm not convinced England can go all the way and win it. I think you're looking at the draw and how teams will maybe be facing each other. I think Holland will be a surprise package. They didn't qualify for 2016, 2018. 2020 Euros, they got knocked out of the knockouts by the Czech, round of 16. The World Cup, I thought they were coming together a little bit better. Won the group. They won the knockout game against, I think it was USA. And then they lost on penalties to Argentina in the quarterfinal. They gave Argentina a proper game of football there. So I'm thinking they'll build on that. They've got experience. They've got quality defensively in midfield. Whether they're a little bit light up top, I'm not sure. But I think as an organised unit, I think Holland could be the dark horses, the outsiders, because of their route as well. I think coming second in their group has got to be key, because you don't want to be first and on the tougher part of the group. But so Holland for me, dark horses, outsiders. Portugal on my side, that I will be all over to win it this year. Style of play, they won it in 2016, don't forget. Italy won it last time, Portugal the time before. They know how to win a big tournament, and there's some very, very talented players in that group. They'll be good to watch this tournament, Portugal, and the route suggests that they've got a good chance to go all the way to the final.
Similar feelings, Paul? I mean, about England first. What are your thoughts on this England side and whether they're justifiably favourites?
Listen, I don't think they're justifiably favourites. But if you're talking about betting and you're talking about form, if they're a racehorse on form, you back them. You look at the previous races: semi-final, final, quarter-final. They're there. They've had big game experience. They know they go deep into tournaments. And like I say, on racehorse form, if that was a horse, you're backing it to win. They've got a great chance. And as I've said before numerous times, they can beat anybody on their day. They're capable of beating anybody on their day. They need a little bit of luck, but they need to turn up and they need to have that quality on the day. They've got the players in there to do it. Can the manager put them out there in the right formation that suits the players and get the best players on the pitch at the same time and get the best out of our best players, the likes of Foden, the likes of Bellingham, Saka, Cole Palmer, Harry Kane? How do you get all that plethora of attacking quality on the pitch at the same time? And in previous tournaments, I think we've been guilty of defending weaknesses rather than playing to strengths. And I think that's one thing with the England manager that he does sometimes, plays with the two holding defensive midfielders. You may not do that in the group stages. He may play Declan Rice and Kobbie Mainoo as an 8 with the license to drop in next to Declan Rice. I'd like to see him go with a 4 in behind Harry Kane, like Pep Guardiola does at Manchester City. Put your 4 best attacking players in behind Harry Kane, your goal scorer, and let other managers, let the German manager, let the Italian manager, let the French manager pick up our team sheet and go, cool, they've got a lot of quality. They're going to hurt us, rather than the England manager looking at his team sheet thinking, well, we're playing Germany or we're playing Mbappe, we're playing France, we're going to have to shore up down the right-hand side, we might have to double up in the full-back areas. Let other teams worry about us. We've got that attacking quality in the final third. And I think we've been far too guilty of defending weaknesses than playing to our strengths. And I think that's going to be important. Can they beat anyone on the day? Absolutely they can. Can they win the tournament? Yes, they can. But they're going to need a little bit of luck. And there's teams there that have got a little bit more quality that have done it before. It's going to be tough for them. I wouldn't make them favourites. I think France, for me, would be the favourites with the quality that they've got in there, the experience. They've done it before. They've been to major tournaments. They've won major tournaments. Anybody who beats France, for me, wins this tournament. I think they're the ones to beat.
Anyone who beats France? Well, France are 5 to win this tournament. We've mentioned Portugal as well, Neil. I mean, I think we're both, all three of us, never mind both of us, we're all looking at Portugal thinking, again, you put those attacking names on the team sheet and again, you're gonna be scared. It's the same argument as Paul's just made there. There's a lot of attacking intent.
But look at some of the other players in that squad. They've got Ruben Dias centre half, top centre half. Who else is in there? Semedo, Pepe. How old is he? 41. He's still knocking about the experience alongside Ronaldo in that dressing room. Midfield, Palhinha for me is one of the best defensive midfielders. I absolutely love him. I think he's outstanding. He's a top player in there. You've got Neves, Nunez. You've got Felix. There is Bruno Fernandes. There is so much talent in midfield as well as in attack as well. So for me, I think if Portugal can click, which they've shown signs of in previous tournaments, they put 6 past Switzerland in the knockouts of the World Cup. Big surprise to lose to Morocco. We have to say that in the quarterfinal of the World Cup. So I think they want to rectify that. And for me, that they have got a strong possibility of winning it if they can avoid maybe a France. If France comes second in the group, that becomes a really tough game for them in the quarters. So, Holland, Portugal, that route in. But England, France on the other side. I want England to win it. Of course I do. I agree with Paul in terms of our strength is our attack. But defensively, we've got injuries. I don't know what our best back four is. And I think we've looked vulnerable defensively. So that's why I don't make England favourites. But yeah, France, with the quality they have, will have a great chance as well.
Yeah, the French, Paul, will possibly just have the side that beat France might well be France in the way it has happened in previous tournaments, is that they look at themselves and go, aren't we great? And that's happened in the World Cup, didn't it? Oh, well, maybe not the World Cup, but the last Euros. Was it Switzerland knocked them out last Euros? They were 3-1 up with 10 minutes to go.
Management. It's keeping that dressing room harmonious. That's the biggest thing. That's a problem that the French have always had at these big tournaments. It's keeping a harmonious dressing room. If Didier Deschamps can keep that team happy, playing well, listen, it's easy to keep 11 of them happy because you pick them. That's not always the case with the French team. I think a harmonious French squad, dressing room, team, starting 11, manager, staff is very, very difficult to beat. But as you quite rightly say, the one thing that could beat the French is the self. If it's not harmonious, camp off the field. But you've seen them in previous tournaments. You've seen the quality that they've got. You don't need me to sit here and read off the squad list, the starting 11. You know the players that are in that French side. They're all of an age where they're just about hitting their peak. They're all of a quality, and you look at the quality of youth that they've got in there as well. The talent that they've got defensively, the defensively sound. The goals that they've got is, we know that. There's nobody better, and they've done it before. They're the world champions. They know what to do, and they know how to get it over the line. They just have to remain happy.
Can I just say about the French? Because I was speaking to a couple of Frenchmen. There's not the same.
Just met some French.
In French.
Where have you been?
In French, your scouts.
I've had a little trip away, boys. And a little recce of what the French are thinking, and what they're saying is, there's less pressure because they're actually more talking about the Olympic Games. They're on about the Olympic Games and Thierry Henry's squad and all this. Whereas in England, all we're thinking is, can we win it? Southgate, Bellingham, Kane. There isn't the same hype in France, and they love the rugby anyway over there. So it's not like they've got to win it, even though they're a really strong side and that pressure. So that might help them in terms of the competition. But they have some good players. The French have some very, very good players. So yeah, for me, I think they'll go deep. I'm not sure they'll win it.
He's got a job on his hands there, Shop. I mean, he's picked N'Golo Kante. He's played 42 games in Saudi Arabia this year. Everyone thought he was done and dusted with the national side. So it looks like N'Golo Kante with Griezmann in midfield and one other, which might be Rabiot in the middle. Question marks at the back, maybe, Neil. I know Liverpool have had question marks about Konate this season. Upamecano's not had a great season for Bayern Munich. Saliba's had a fantastic season, but the manager doesn't really seem to rate him as a first-choice centre-back. It's Upamecano and Konate.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if Saliba doesn't start a few games. He's been the best centre-half alongside Van Dijk in the Premier League for me. Deschamps would definitely have paid note of that. I think France won't concede many goals. I do think that. I think when you look at teams conceding goals, I don't look at them and think, yeah, they look a bit vulnerable. England do. I don't look at France and think, yeah, you can score 2 or 3 goals. You might get 1. I don't think you score 2 or 3 against France, which gives you a chance to nick a draw if it is 1-1. But yeah, that is so much strength in that area. It'd be nice if England could loan one for this tournament, wouldn't it? Can we just loan Saliba if you're not going to play for France?
A centre-back would be nice for England, wouldn't it, Paul? Because they are lacking, shall we say. And interesting that he didn't take Branthwaite, which, again, he's not played many games for England, but a strong centre-back who is fit would be useful.
Yeah, I mean, what did he played Stones and Gay in the last friendly with the defeat against Iceland? I think he sees Kyle Walker as a replacement in that area as well. John Stones and Gay obviously potentially looking like he could be his first choice. He's not going to play 3 at the back, is he? Because he's not done that. We've not seen that at all. Not in the qualification, not in the last 2 friendlies. It's not even been experimented with. So it is going to be a 2 centre-half pairing. And you would think if Maguire was fit, it would have been Maguire and Stones, wouldn't it? I mean, the way that he finished the season for Manchester United. But it's an issue for him in that area. But I think he sees Kyle Walker as a replacement. And then I think he'd be tempted to play Trippier left-back as well, like he started him in the friendly against Iceland. He relies on him. He knows defensively he's sound. And I think the one thing that Trippier also gives him is his delivery from set plays.
True. Left back might be interesting. Just looking at the French side that drew with Canada at the weekend. That had Camavinga alongside Kante in the midfield. Griezmann, Thuram, we've not mentioned as a goal scorer, particularly with Giroud up front, and Dembele and Mbappe did not play. And France have brought Mike Maignan in to be, quite late in his career, to be their goalkeeper. So they've got strength in depth, haven't they, the French, that maybe England haven't got, Neil.
Did they get the same criticism for that result? 0-0 against Canada?
Well, apparently they're all talking about the Olympics. I don't know what they,
It wasn't even on the back page, that one. Whereas England, Iceland, goodness me, a bit of an overreaction, wasn't there, with that result? I mean, they've got the players, France. And like I say, I think they'll have a slow start to the tournament. If they can click, they sort of got away with it a little bit to the World Cup final a couple of years ago, beating Holland on penalties. I know they took Argentina all the way, but I think in the football world, we look at some of their players and go, God, they've got a great chance. As a team, I'm not so sure they'll go as far this time.
Right, I know you both mapped out your tournaments, haven't you? You've gone through the whole tournament, and you showed me this just before we recorded. What have you both done?
Exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
Well, do you know what? 50-50 on Italy-Croatia for me in the quarters. And I've convinced myself they're not going to make it now. So that's the only difference. Croatia in for Italy for me. Or Switzerland for the quarters. Switzerland or Hungary, maybe. They could be dark horses as well for the quarters.
Okay. So who have we actually got in the final then? You pick your finalists. Who are they? Paul Robinson.
I've got a France-Portugal final. I think Miles has got exactly the same. Semi-final, I've got Portugal-Germany, France-England. I've got Portugal to beat Germany in the semi and France to beat England in the semi to make France-Portugal final with the French going victorious.
The French to win it, okay. You can pick your finalists. There is a market for to pick the two out there. Who did you go for, Neil? Was it exactly the same?
Yeah, same semi-final. Germany and Portugal, France, England, which I think will go to penalties. I think we'll get turned over on pens. I don't think France will be too good for us, but I think that they'll beat us on pens. And then Portugal will have too much for France in the final. So Portugal to win it, England to lose on pens in the semi.
Okay, your France versus Portugal final is 13. It's fourth favourite in the list. Current favourites, England-Germany final at 10.5. 11.5 is France-Germany. England-France at 13. France-Portugal at 13. England-Portugal at 15. So France-Portugal, but you've each gone for a different winner.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. That's how this works out. There's a long way to go. A lot of games in between. Outright winners, though, for each side. Look into that camera now and convince me, Paul Robinson, of your winner.
France, because they've been there, done it before. World Cup holders, the quality they've got in the side. You look at the squad that they've got defensively, midfield, attacking. They've got no weaknesses. If they lose 2 or 3 players, there's no weakness. You look at you look at the German side. They've only just got back to form. The England side defensively, they've got injuries, and I just think the French have got the experience and the quality of players. But as a real outsider for you, Romania. They lost their last friendly 3-2 to Colombia. They've got no real stars. Probably Dragusin from Tottenham hasn't really played much football. Probably one of the ones that you've heard of. Since the last friendly that they lost this week to Colombia 3-2, they've not lost since October in a World Cup qualifier against Germany. Romania are a real strong outsider for me. They get out of the group, 16, quarterfinal. See how long you can hold your nerve before you cash out. France to win, Romania to go deep and cash out when you can hold your nerve till.
Talk about dark horses. He's picked Romania. That's from left field. Eastern Europe, never mind left field. Neil Mellor, straight into the camera. Give me your winner and why.
I've got Portugal to win it this time around. I think they have got youth. I think they've got experience. I think they've got quality. There's a lot of Premier League quality, a lot of experience there as well. They've got goals. Look at the attacking players they have. They have got so much attacking quality. And they'll play with that style. They will go with that style. They know exactly what they're all about. A bit unfortunate in the World Cup, knocked out by Morocco in the quarterfinals. They've had a really good run of results since then. A couple of friendlies haven't gone their way. But for me, I look at Portugal and think they'll be a good side to watch. Their route is kind. I think they'll be too good for everybody else in their group. And all of a sudden you're thinking they could be in the semi-finals against maybe a Germany. And then they're close to win it. They've won it again. Don't forget, in recent times, Italy won the last Euros. Portugal won the one before. So I'm looking at Portugal with that experience, that quality. I'd say they are the team to win it for me this time.
And good luck with all your selections. And you can follow us, of course, with sportsbet.io.